So the first time I ever saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, I was keeping up fine. The plot was ticking along. It was starting to heat up, right? And I understood everything what was going on. And then they get past Jupiter, and I have no idea what happened. I remember what I saw, but I could not tell you what it all meant. I was absolutely baffled by all the weirdness, right? Um, but in my confusion, in my confused state, I realized that I was transfixed. I was not pausing the movie. I was not checking my phone. I was not getting up to go to the toilet. I was rooted to the spot, trying to make sense of all the visuals I was seeing. Oftentimes, when you're watching a movie, you might start to sense the agenda of the filmmakers, right? For example, the movie Don't Look Up. There's the enjoyment comes, I think, in seeing the commonalities between the fictional film world and the real world. And it becomes a satirical comedy, and that's where the enjoyment is, in my opinion. Or, for example, the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life. You get the sense that the filmmakers are hammering home a point that you should practice gratitude, that you should be grateful for what you have, and that you don't need to be chasing riches to be a successful man, that you can be rich in your relationships, in your friendship, in your effect on others. And considering these points, I think Stanley Kubrick's agenda with 2001: Space Odyssey, especially getting past Jupiter, is that he wanted to transfix the audience. He wanted to push the boundaries of the art form, and he wanted to create a film that the audiences would not forget in an instant. So I think it is this intention behind the piece that separates the amateurs from the professionals. The amateur will most likely just look to just get the novel down on paper, just get it all written, or just get the film recorded. That's their one goal. Just get it all done, right? Whereas the pro might look to elevate themselves above the status of the amateur and really hone in and focus their thinking. What is it I'm trying to do here? Or Seth Godin says, what is the change I'm trying to make? How do I want to affect the audience? Before they come into the cinema, they were in a certain state of mind. When they leave the cinema, I can have made an effect on them. I could have had an effect on them. I could have changed them. What the change is it I want to make? That oftentimes a lot of filmmakers, a lot of writers will have to justify every scene. That they have to move the story forward in some way. That what am I trying to achieve here? Right? And by asking that question, you clarify your thoughts. You also help others help you. If you say, okay, what we're trying to do here is we want to establish the evilness of the villain, well, then, your colleagues, your co-workers can say, okay, well, if we want to do that, we can do it in this way, or we can do it in that way, or you can cut out that scene, or you can cut out that line. So this idea of what is the change you're trying to make can provide great clarity and focus in your thinking. And you could apply it to various different things. You could apply it to your career. Richard Curtis, it's no coincidence that all of his movies are rom-com genre. You can apply it to films. For example, Jordan Peele, in some movies he's looking to be funny, in some movies he's looking to be horrifying. Or you can apply it to every scene, or you can boil it down to just a scene. For example, Francis Ford Coppola, in a kind of TV commentary or like a breakdown of his films, he was talking through the scene where Al Pacino has to drop the gun after shooting the two people. And he says, at this point, I want the audience screaming at the screen to drop the gun, right? And that goes to show the kind of the mindset that the pros at the best are in. They want you to feel a certain way in this moment. They want you to feel a certain way in this moment. and then they use their techniques to achieve that. Whereas, consider the alternative. A chat show can be quite hit and miss, because it all depends on the guest, right? The chat show makers, they don't say, okay, we're going to be all about. They're not honing in on one area. They're not saying, okay, we're going to talk all about love. This podcast, this chat show is going to be all about love, right? And that within this kind of little subsect, we're going to have all these different guests, right? Whereas the chat show like Graham Norton, the agenda is largely determined by who the guests are, and therefore the success of the episode is largely determined by how interesting the guests are. That they're kind of victims of the guests. Whereas a lot of these creators, like Stanley Kubrick, he said, this is what I'm going to stand for. This is what I think makes good cinema, in that I'm going to try and hold people's attention. I'm going to try and transfix them. I'm not going to go into like entertainment and all that. I'm leaving all those options behind. I'm going to pursue this endeavor. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. But I hope it helps elevate and focus your mind in the art that you create. I'm Thomas. Have a great day.